Hi everybody, Steve here, the British Railroader. I hope everybody had a really good Christmas and is looking forward to New Year. In this video, what I'm going to be doing is looking at what I got for Christmas. But what I got for Christmas was this. What I'm going to do in this video is take a little look at this model and explain about it, and also compare it to a model of the same engine by a different manufacturer. But before I start, let's look at a few facts about this particular type of locomotive. So what we've got here is a GP40-2. These were built by EMD between 1972 to 1984. So they have an EMD 645 16-cylinder turbocharged prime mover and have a power output of 3,000 horsepower. A total of 1,143 units were built. They're 59 feet and 21 inches long, 10 foot 4 inches wide, and 15 foot 5 inches high. And they weigh about 250,000 pounds. So in English, that's just over 100 tons. So here we have the model. It's a model of an EMD GP40-2 Phase 2 locomotive. This is in Norfolk Southern livery, number 3013. The model kind of depicts how it was about 5 to 10 years ago. I believe that it's recently been rebuilt, so it looks slightly different around the cab area. This is from Atlas. It's one of their Atlas Master Silver locomotives, which means that it's DCC ready and has space for a decoder and a speaker, but you have to add them yourself. And so this came ready to run for DC straight out of the box. Now, American locomotives are quite difficult to get hold of over here in the UK. And I found this one actually second-hand through a major supplier. But it wasn't second-hand. And when it arrived, none of the handrails at the front and back had been fitted. The cab sunshades hadn't been fitted. They were all still sealed in their bags. And you quite often find this over here, is that people buy these things but then decide actually they don't want it. So this was a Christmas present from my other half. It got here quite a while before Christmas, and because it was second hand, she let me just check it over and make sure that everything was okay, which it was. But she then decided not to wrap it for me. So that was on the proviso that I just kept it in the box and kept it in my room. However, certain things happened before Christmas, like the handrails got fitted and the sunshades, but also it got given a DCC chip, not a sound one at the moment, just a plain one. And it's been programmed so that basically on Christmas Day I could take it out of the box and could run it just nicely on my layout. So if we just look at the locomotive and some of the detail that's involved with this, as you can see, if we just turn it this way, one of the things that I very much like about this is that it has all of the front detail added. So there are the brake hose, there's the snow plough, there's the couple of cut bars, there's the multiple unit working cables. The coupler I've adapted slightly. With my couplers, I do have a tendency to cut the trip pin off, which I explained in one of my previous videos. Again, it doesn't affect their use as couplings, it just means you can't remote uncouple them, which is fine for my layout because I use a sort of handheld uncoupler. Again, looking at some of the detail on this, and let's see if we can focus in here on the trucks, but I think you can see that you've got pipe runs, you've got all of the brake cylinders on there. The detail's in quite good relief. You can probably see in the cab that there's an engineer. There's a conductor on the other side as well. All of the lift rings are on the top, which you can see there quite nicely. And there are spinning fans. Now these don't actually work in the sense that they're not powered. But if you blow on them, and in fact what I've got here is one of those computer air blowers for cleaning your computer keypad. If I bring this in and just blow it, you can see the fan span just there. So this works this works really well and it looks really, really good. I mean, the level of detail, I mean, in this close-ups you can see with all of the handrails. There's, you know, all of the printing on the side, most of which, if you get a really good glass, you know, a very, very good magnifying glass, is all legible. The tank detail, again, let's just bring this over. As you can see, things have been nicely picked out. What this locomotive really needs at this point is a good bit of weathering, and that will be the subject of a future video. So this is the Atlas model. It runs really nicely. It ran nicely straight out of the box on DC, put a decoder in, did my usual little tweaks with the decoders, which I will go through when I fit this one with sound, and looks fantastic. Now I'm just going to compare it to this model. So this model is an Athearn Roundhouse ready to roll GP40-2, which I bought quite some time ago. Now this model, as you can see, has been weathered and has some detailing, and most of that detailing has been done by me. First thing that you notice if you compare it to the other one is the underframe detail isn't as fine. You haven't got as many, the pipe work's not there on the bogies. And when we turn to the front, as you can see, hopefully as it focuses, yes, there are a couple of cut bars, etc., but they've all been added by me. They've all come as detail parts rather than anything else. Basically with this model, all it had was the grab irons and the handrails. Everything else I've added to it, including the windscreen wipers, the cab shades, the rooftop air conditioning box up here, which on this model is actually just made out of styrene. And the interesting thing is this loco cost me a lot more money than the other one. Now the other one, admittedly, I picked up second hand and I got it in England rather than the Athearn one, which I got from the States. But I think what it does is it shows you the difference between what you get. Now, going back to this one, you do get a lot more bang for your buck. It is a much nicer model. The details are crisper, and just generally it's just that little bit more better put together. I still love the other loco, and I love the fact that I've detailed it and I've made it more like the actual loco in real life, but it took me a lot of work and actually cost me probably more money to do that than this one would have cost me new. One thing I don't like about the Atlas model is, number one, are the cab sunshades. Now I know this sounds really weird because they actually, if I bring it up close, they look quite nice. But on this particular locomotive it doesn't normally have cab sunshades, and I could have left them off as a detail part, but the problem with that is that there would be two holes in the side of my cab. And this is the thing with some of the Athearn locomotives, is that you end up, if you don't add the details, with holes where they shouldn't be, and they're difficult to fill in. One of the other things that this doesn't have, that the real loco has, is again, just here on the pilot, there should be a couple of ditch lights. And this is something that a friend of mine in the States pointed out when he bought a new Atlas loco. It was a beautiful loco, but it didn't have ditch lights. Now, don't get me wrong, this model doesn't have ditch lights either when you buy it. But I've, as you can see, or hopefully if I focus it, I've added ditch lights and they work, and they're all connected to the DCC decoder. So it is possible to do it, but actually when you're paying that much money, do you really think you would need to be able to do that? So just in conclusion, between these two locos, they're both nice locos. They both look like the prototype. One needed more work than the other. The other one, just a couple of minor points. I'm happy to run 3013 with its cab sunshades. I think they kind of look right. I find American locos look a bit odd if you don't have cab sunshades on there. And I may or may not add ditch lights to the front and rear in the future. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but again, it's also not the hardest. So there we have it. That's my quick review of the loco that I got for Christmas. Final thoughts about Atlas versus Athearn. Definitely the Atlas model is a better model. The Athearn one probably comes from quite an old moulding now, and is showing its age. There's less definition on some of the moulding. If you look at the door panels, etc., they're just not as crisp, whereas the Atlas one is. Mechanism wise, they're both lovely runners. You know, there's a hair's breadth between them. I mean, my Athearn model I've programmed down to the slowest crawl possible with its decoder, which is a Soundtrack Tsunami. I will be getting a Soundtrack Tsunami for the Atlas locomotive, and when I do, I will do a video about how I fit that and fit a speaker. And also at some point with the Atlas loco, that'll need weathering. Now, normally I send my locos off to be weathered. I'm still not quite as confident with that. But you never know. Now that I've got the airbrush booth set up and starting to get better with an airbrush, I might have a go myself. But we'll see. We will see. I might have to do some test runs on some other rolling stock first. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and please feel free to subscribe to my channel. You know, we're slowly getting more and more subscribers, but it'll be good to have you know, more of you following me. So thanks for watching, and I'd like to wish everybody a happy new year, and I will see you in 2022.